Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Liam Craven Jr., aka Zorvalchan Less Than Guru, and this is the first tip and trick that you might find useful in your Palladium First Edition game or your Palladium games in general. And it will be a one that probably a lot of people won't like, but I will explain my reasoning behind my thoughts on this, and half of it I have implemented, and the other half I wish I would have implemented. But right now, after playing over 2 years in my Palladium game, I don't think that it is worth changing a current game with, but it is something that I probably would do differently had I been starting now or recently instead of 2.5 years ago. So this one is going to have to do with attributes. Palladium has 8 attributes: IQ, ME, MA, PS, PP, PE, PB, and SPD. So up here, IQ, intelligence quotient; ME, mental endurance; MA, mental affinity; PS, physical strength; PE, physical endurance; PB, physical beauty; and SPD, speed. Okay, the first thing that I have used, and I have found that I have not encountered one instance where it made a huge difference, is I eliminated speed as a attribute. Speed in Palladium First Edition and Palladium First Edition, no physical skills exist that increase attributes. So in later games, you might get something like boxing or running that you would be able to increase your speed. But speed, the only thing it did was give you a number that then you would multiply by 20 or another number to determine how far you could run in a melee round or in a minute, etc. There is no other thing. And that attribute, as it states right here, speed, no special bonuses other than the raw natural ability to run. I felt having an attribute that was for nothing more than to determine distance of movement wasn't needed. A lot of other games use dexterity, so that is the equivalent of Palladium's physical prowess. And I just decided I'm just going to do it as physical prowess, and there's not going to be, it's just going to be based off of that. Movement that would affect speed would affect the base of physical prowess, but only for movement, if that makes sense. So I do want to say maybe in Yinsloth jungles, and I'm not using these skills, they might have had some of the physical skills that kind of trickled in through other Palladium games that added to speed, like running. In those cases, if I did it, I would have physical prowess be the base speed, and then those extra dice that you roll get added to only the speed part. So a derivative attribute instead of a main core attribute. And that's how I do in my game. When something modifies a speed, I have it modify the movement part of physical prowess, but not the other parts of physical prowess. It's something that I know a lot of people might just like having speed as an attribute. I just did not see the purpose as much as the other attributes. And in 2.5 years of running it this way, I have not encountered any problems. Now, going along with that, I wish I would have done the same thing with physical beauty. The reason why I didn't is I really understand the difference between charisma, mental affinity, and physical beauty. One is just your looks, and one is your attitude. But if you look at mental affinity, it's trust, intimidate. But that charisma can also be charm, charisma, charm. It's a base root there. The charm, I think, and the impress could be could be a mental affinity, a charisma type thing. Also, I found one of the things that I added was for characters or players to drop dice to add psionics to their characters, or drop dice to add other things to their characters, and charisma might be the dump stat of other games, but when you have that type of thing, physical beauty is the dump stat of Palladium. People will take an elf that can roll 5 dice, and if they can remove dice from physical beauty to get something that has mechanics, they will do so. Physical beauty, that charm and impress, also nowhere in Palladium does it ever say how to use it, when to use it, or anything else like that. So what I wish I would have did is I wish I would have taken that charm and impress, that trust and intimidate, and gave players the choice of maybe 2 of those. Do you want to trust and charm? Do you want to intimidate and impress? Do you want to charm and impress? And say, you can choose this as, are you being charismatic because of your personality, mental affinity? Are you being beautiful? Or you can do it how you want and then choose 2 of these 4 things and give them the appropriate bonuses to go with that. Also, speed and physical beauty neither one of them are an attribute that is needed for to obtain as a prerequisite for an occupational character class, an OCC. If we look at the main book down here, we scroll to occupational character classes. You have PS, you have PP, and IQ. We go down a little bit further, and ME. This one doesn't have MA, but if you look at book 7, Yinsloth Jungles, here we have the Beastmaster, which does require an MA. So physical beauty and speed are the 2 attributes that aren't needed for an OCC. So I would suggest removing them. And I've always stated that I've found it easy to adjust D&D stats to Palladium, and usually I do, okay, IQ, that is intelligence. If a D&D intelligence says 13, the IQ is a 13 if we go back up here to the chart. And I do that with everything. I do that with ME. I consider that wisdom. MA, charisma. PS is strength. PP is dexterity. PE is constitution. 6 attributes, clear cut. And then what I have been doing since I use PB, physical beauty, is I just make it up. How do I think the thing looks in my mind and give it a number based off of that? Or I just take the charisma and do it twice for MA and PB. So if you would like much easier conversion between D&D adventures and scenarios, no matter what edition it is, and your Palladium games, I would suggest dropping those attributes, having speed be base movement, and then things that add to speed, you just add to movement instead of physical prowess, and then have the player determine how their MA score. Is it physical beauty? Is it personality? Is it a combination of both? And then give them 2 of those 4 choices: trust, intimidate, charm, and impress, and say, hey, here's some choices you have. Choose 2 of them to make your character the way you want that character to be. So while I'm not saying that the 6 attributes of D&D are the best, I'm just saying after playing Palladium for decades, I just really don't see an absolute need to have a different physical beauty and speed attribute. If you remove them, it will not be a detriment to your game. For speed, I've been proving that for 2.5 years. For physical beauty, I don't see how wrapping it up into MA and having the player decide how they want to represent that attribute would be any different. So having said that, hopefully this gives you a little thought, and maybe you'll use it and keep things a little bit streamlined and simpler in your game. So having said that, once again, I'm Liam Crafton Jr., aka Zorvalchan Less Than Guru, and until next time, I will catch you later.